guys, it's Kelly here again and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another tabletop book haul. Today I will be sharing with you all of the books that I acquired in the past couple of months. I have to say that these are, I think, like 6 or 7 months back since my last haul, because I think I do 2 a year, and I have this kind of unspoken challenge where I try not to buy more books a year than I read. So typically I buy around 20-25 books. So because I do that, I don't have too many, which I think is good, because you don't want to buy so many books that you don't get to read, and they just sit on your shelves. So I have a decent amount here now accumulated, and I'm going to share with you. I have some sci-fi, some fantasy, I have a comic book, and I have the biggest surprise, at least for me, a lot of nonfiction. Now, if you've been here on my channel, you know that I don't typically read nonfiction, so I don't typically buy nonfiction. But this time, because I read this awesome nonfiction book, which I'll speak about in my wrap-up, I got really into a scientific theme, and I decided to buy some books because I really wanted to read nonfiction, and I got kind of in the mood for it. I realized I don't have much of that, so I went on a shopping spree and I bought a few things that I thought the topics interested me. So the first thing that I'm going to start you off with is all of the fiction and sci-fi and fantasy, and then I'm going to end with the nonfiction. So in case you don't want to hear about it, you can just listen to the first part. The first thing that I'm going to share with you are these 2 graphic novels. I don't believe I hauled the first one when I bought it last year, I think around Christmas or December, something like that. And these are very, very short graphic novels about Harley Quinn, and basically how Harleen Quinzel became Harley Quinn, how she met the Joker. I'm gonna link all of the books that I speak about in the description bar down below, so you can check out the authors, because honestly I can't pronounce this author's name, so I'm just gonna link them down below. But I really I really like the art style in these. I think it's really cool. I have already read the first one, and I'm not a big fan of the dialogue. I think it's kind of cringy, but at the same time, like, it's a comic book, it's a DC comic book, so I don't know what I was expecting. But yeah, I liked the first one, and I think there are just 3 volumes of this, so I got the second one, and I am waiting for them to publish the 3rd one here in my country. But I really, really love the art style. It's kind of sketchy and kind of messy, but it looks really cool, so I really love it, and that's mostly why I bought this, and also because there's gonna be just 3. Next couple of books that I got are actually parts of series. So I bought these 2 because these are book 2 and book 3 of the Wayward Children. I was gonna say trilogy, but it's not trilogy. The Wayward Children book series. I read last year the first one, which was Every Heart a Doorway, and now I got book 2 and book 3, and I just got shout out to the Bulgarian covers. I think they're really cool. They're so interesting and so different, and I just love the art style, so I am really in love with the covers. And I really want to read book 3. That's the one that interested me the most, but also I kind of already know the characters for the book 2, so I decided to buy it and not skip, because you can actually skip it. They don't connect, I don't think. You just get to see different characters. For instance, all of these characters were in book 1, so you just learn more about them, but you can't actually skip. They don't follow one specific story. So yeah, I really wanted to buy these. These are the 2, and can't wait to read them. Next one I have are again 2, and again these are part of a series. So these are the Vicious and Villains. So these are by V.E. Schwab, and again these are the Bulgarian covers. Again, I have to say they're pretty awesome. We are really picking up our cover game. So these, I think this is the first one. Yeah, this is villains and this is vicious, and I haven't read them yet, but I really want to. And that's basically all I have to say. If you've been on BookTube, you probably know what these are about. I think the general gist of it is that you have these two friends who conduct scientific experiments, and something goes wrong and they develop superpowers or super abilities. However, instead of becoming superheroes, they start becoming villains, and it's kind of following their story. That's all I know, and it sounds really cool, really interesting, so I can't wait to read them. Oh, P.S. I forgot to mention, in case you don't know, for the Wayward Children series, it's about kids who have gone to magical worlds like Narnia or magical universes, and then they return to our human world, and this is basically the children trying to grow up and trying to figure out who they are and what they do in our normal mundane world and how they're dealing with it. Next up, I have another part of a series, which is Aurora's End, which is book 3 in the Aurora cycle by Amie, Kaufman, and J. Kristoff. I've already read book 1 and book 2. I really loved book 1. I mentioned it last year. I even did a dedicated review of it. But this story begins and follows basically a team of misfits who are a crew that go on missions, and one day one of their crew members, before graduating their space academy, finds an abandoned ship in space, and he finds a girl who has been in cryogenic sleep for 200 years. So they bring her back, but some things start happening, and suddenly they find themselves, the whole space crew finds themselves running from basically everyone in the entire universe. They just want to catch them and kill some of them and get the girl. So it's really cool, it's interesting, it's a very good sci-fi for YA readers because it's super YA in like the worst possible way, but it's so interesting and I love the story, so I can't help it. I really like it and I enjoy it, and I am currently actually in the beginning of book 3, so I might actually finish it. And this will probably be the first series that I ever finish, ever, in my life. So, here's hoping. And we are done with the series, so next I have Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I don't know much about this book, I just know that, well, first of all, it's very popular here on BookTube, and second, it has something to do with the Minotaur and the Labyrinth, so I really wanted to hear what it's about and read it. It's awfully short as well, and I've been hearing nothing but great things about it. So it's kind of fantasy-ish, so we're gonna see what that's about. And that is it for the fiction, and now for the non-fiction, I am going to share with you a few books that I found really interesting. So the first one I'm going to share with you is one that I am currently in the middle of, which is Black Holes and Other Melodies from Space by Janna Levin. Janna Levin is what it says here. Again, Bulgarian edition. Really cool. Really love it. So this follows the story behind the great scientists and Nobel Prize laureates who found and proved Einstein's theory of gravitational waves, and basically how in their career what happened and what led them to make this discovery and this improve his theory. So this is really interesting. I honestly did not expect to love it as much as I do. I read recently Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, and that's kind of what inspired me to read more nonfiction, because I really loved that particular book, which is about space, and it's very compact and it only touches briefly on the most important parts, but I do want to read more about them, so I also had this one, and I didn't expect this to be more of a more of a biographical type of novel. I thought it would concentrate more on the science, but it does actually concentrate on the people in the science, which I found just as interesting. And yeah, that's all I can say about it. I am in the middle of the book. I am on page 93 out of 200 about. 200. So I really love this book. As I said, it follows the story of all of the scientists that proved the theory and what led them to prove it to, in their life. And there are some really cool facts here as well. And it's some of the more heavier science is explained in a way that absolutely anyone can understand it. The only thing I'm having a little bit of trouble with is kind of jumping between timelines, because there's not concrete years for most of the events, and when you start talking about from one scientist, you start talking about another scientist, you don't really get the whole chronological order of events. But still, because it doesn't focus that much on the years, you can kind of get the feel of the important events. So yeah, really loving it so far. We'll let you know when I finish it and my final thoughts. On the topic of science and astrophysics, I bought the next 2 books because I really wanted to learn more about space. So I bought 2 books by Michio Kaku. He is very famous in his sphere. So he writes a lot. I think he's an astrophysicist, and he writes a lot about different topics that interest me. For instance, this is parallel universes, and it's basically, I guess, theories about parallel universes and worlds. And this one is God's Equation, which I think focuses on kind of absolutely everything. The the theory of everything, and kind of God and religion intertwined into it, something along those lines. I'm not particularly sure. It's not like religious or anything, it just has something to do with that. It does discuss, I think, some maybe ideas that are connected to religion, God, and the creation. So I think that's like the only religious-y thing about it. I don't think it's anything else, but it has also something that I didn't know when I bought it first, because I ordered them, but it has graphs and pictures, and I'm guessing this is gonna be a really hard to understand type of book and really slow to read, but I am really, really fascinated so far, so I can't wait to start these. The next one I bought kind of on a whim because it was on sale, and it's called On Intelligence. And this is the history of espionage and, gathering intelligence. And again, this sounded really, really interesting. I just noticed, this sounded really, really interesting. It has some maps, maybe some graphs as well. There's a lot of facts here. I mean, it's a chunky boy. The font is really, really tiny. So this is, again, going to be something really hard to get through. And these are the type of books that most people would listen to as an audiobook. However, I find it really hard to concentrate when it comes to very factual and factually based books, and also really hard to remember. So I prefer reading them as physical because I can actually mark things and put sticky notes and stuff like that. So again, this is a really interesting topic to me. I really hoped that we were gonna discuss the Morse code, because there's Morse code on the cover, so I'm really excited for that, because I've really been wanting to learn Morse code. I know you can do it online, but it's fun to learn a little bit of history in the process. So this one, again, sounds really interesting. Can't wait to read it. Next up are 2 books that have dinosaurs on the covers, and the first one is The Rise and Fall of Dinosaurs, and this one is really, again, very popular here on BookTube and Bookstagram, and it's basically what it says. It's the rise and fall of the dinosaurs. It focuses on all the different periods of dinosaurs and what kind of dinosaurs were there in that period. And there's also a lot of pictures here, especially of skeletons and bones. And this one, I thought that it was gonna be a little bit more, I don't know, maybe based kind of like the Black Holes one, where it follows maybe people and they tell you stories. I think it's gonna be a little bit rougher to read because there's like a lot of dinosaur names in here, so it's gonna be really hard to follow. But if I retain even a fraction of the interesting facts in here, I'd still be happy. So yeah, this one kind of intimidates me. Out of all of the nonfiction that I just mentioned, I think this one intimidates me the most. But you know, we'll see. Second to last one is another one with a dinosaur on the cover. However, it doesn't have much to do with dinosaurs, but again, I've seen this from Emily, I think, from Books with Emily, and she read this I think maybe a year, maybe two ago, this is What If? Serious scientific answers to absurd hypothetical questions, and it's not really fun. If whatever your random mind can think of, maybe, you know, somebody already has thought of, and they give you scientific explanations of if that's possible, what will happen, and so on and so forth. There's also a lot of graphs and a lot of fun cartoons, so I thought that was kind of interesting. It kind of reminded me, there were these books when I was really young. The art style reminds me of them. They were something like The Terrifying History or The Scary History, something like that, and they would have these historical, they were kids books, and they had all these historical facts, but combined with little comic books and little strips with funny anecdotes and funny, they presented the information in a very fun way. That's kind of what this reminds me of, so I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun reading this. And the last book I got is actually a book that I got for my mom, but she lent it to me to read because I really wanted to. And this is in kind of an not an autobiography, I'm sorry. It's more of a memoir type of book. So this is Goddesses of Hollywood, I think is what the English name is. Where is it? Well, I think it's in Spanish. So, Diosas de Hollywood. I don't know how to pronounce that. I am so sorry. It's probably not in Spanish. I don't know. But basically, it follows the most famous Hollywood actresses. In this case, Ava Gardner, Rita Hayworth, Grace Kelly, and Elizabeth Taylor. And it follows them throughout their lives. And I really love Grace Kelly and Elizabeth Taylor, and I would love to know more about their life because I know basic things from pop culture mostly. And I thought it would be really cool if I read a bit more. And it's also divided into sections for the different actresses, which I thought was fun, and it would make it a lot easier to read. So I really have no patience to read these books. I mean, I can't wait is what I mean. I can't wait to read these, and I don't have the brain capacity and the free time to devote myself to them at this point, but I really can't wait. And I hope that once I finish the ones that I am currently in the middle of, I can finally start on some of them. So that's it for all of these books, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had some ideas of what books you might be interested in, especially in the nonfiction sphere and genre, because those, I mean, if you're interested, if you're watching this channel, you're probably interested in space and aliens and dinosaurs too, because I'm kind of a geek. So I think that if you enjoy my content, you might enjoy these books as well. So that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe if you like what you see and would like to see more. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!